I'm constitutional attorney Katherine Henry. It is with a heavy heart that I'm going to give you my take on the new petition that has come out. So all of this goes to one conclusion, right? If you look at the words of the current proposal by Unlock Michigan, the current proposal is to add that these mandates and doing this, they're not changing any of this language. They're still saying you can prohibit the gathering of people for any purpose. They're still saying that, well, even though the problem is that these orders have been used to violate what's even allowed, we're not going to address that issue at all. We're going to leave that language exactly as it is. And all we're going to do is make this statute exactly like the 1976 law that the governor already used to violate many of our freedoms. They're adding the language that the authority of the director to issue, revise, or enforce an emergency order under this section shall continue for up to 28 days. After 28 days, an emergency order is automatically rescinded and unenforceable unless a request by the director for an extension of time to issue, revise, or enforce an emergency order for a specific number of days is approved by resolution of both houses of the legislature. And they're proposing that language change in both of these statutes. So they're saying it's okay for the health department to require all of this stuff and do what they've been doing as long as it's only for 28 days. So according to the statutes we have on the books, the governor has her crack at 28 days with the 1976 Emergency Management Act. Then her employee, right, her Department of Health and Human Services director can then continue her dirty work through MCL 333.2253 to issue statewide orders for up to 28 days with this change, proposed change. And then if they were smart, then they would say, well, they're going to wait for the local health departments to issue their orders until these ones expire if the legislature doesn't extend them. So without any cooperation with any other level of government, without any cooperation with the legislature whatsoever, without any consent of the people, and without any care for what the Constitution requires, our government, through the 1976 law and then MCL 333.2253 and then 333.2453 can, through the governor, then MDHHS, then local health departments, have 84 days. That means for 84 days, the government, just the executive branch, can control us and continue to require contact tracing, possibly microchipping in the future, COVID vaccines, flu vaccines, masks, social distancing, temperature checks. They can close down every business and every school. They can say, nope, you can't have capacity more than 2 people. Or they could just say, nope, you can't have any at all. They could say, oh, well, it's a Lowe's or a Home Depot, but you can't sell paint. It's a home improvement store, but you can't sell home improvement items, whatever, right? They could do all that crazy stuff that we've seen before. According to this new petition, this petition is saying, go ahead and do the exact same orders, but now we're going to say you have to stop at 28 days unless you have the legislature's permission. So again, the 1976 law is, which I forgot the cite to that. It's not the 10.31. It's, oh my gosh, I don't remember. Anyway, the other one, the 1976 Emergency Management Act, that one gives 28 days to the governor without any extensions from the legislature. Then state MDHHS can go do their 28 days. Then local health departments can do 28 days. And so you have 84 days where the executive branch can require us to do all of these things. What good is that kind of a petition? But anyway, so I hope I made my point with that. And it's a bummer because I think the people, I don't know who wrote it, but I think that some of the people involved, if you saw my video I made, you know that it's Stand Up Michigan. I really believe that Tammy Clark and Jeff Simpson and certainly Kristen Megan and whoever else might be on their board or part of their organization, I really believe that they really do want to fight for freedom, and at this point have been given bad advice. So it's a bummer. I guess I'll put it that way. It's a bummer because I would love to have something that could be a joint effort that we could join forces and, like, can you imagine? Could you imagine if every single volunteer, that the thousands that we had with Restore Freedom last year and the thousands that they had with Stand Up Michigan last year, if all of those volunteers saw the organizations fighting for the exact same petition or whatever it is, if it was a petition, could you imagine how quick we could get whatever the requirement was for signatures? That would be record breaking. That would be phenomenal. That would be the kind of thing that we would inspire people all over the country to get off their tushes and stop expecting somebody else to fix their problems, to stop expecting some other freedom fighter, attorney, doctor, whoever, to do all the dirty work. That would inspire people to get up and say, it's we the people that need to take back our government, take back our country, and defend our freedom that God gave us. That's something I'm hoping will still happen someday. And I know that my publicly portraying my opinion of their petition is, going to cause some problems with that budding friendship that we have, but it's the truth. And so do I want you to write off Stand Up Michigan just because of that? If you have some sort of other issue with Stand Up or, whatever else is going on there, that's something distinct. But don't say that organization is, or the people in the organization are automatically worthless just because the petition is not going to help us. Don't do that. Definitely not on my account.
How should it be written? I mean, is it possible to rewrite it?
What the petition should do is, what they did with the 1945 law? If we're going to do it just law by law, then what they should do is a petition that repeals the 1976 Emergency Management Act, takes one sentence to do that, and repeals, I would repeal the whole public health code, but to repeal these two statutes here, 333.2253 and 333.2453, there is no good ever in any situation that comes of the government having the authority to prohibit the gathering of people for any purpose, period. And there's no reason to have a law that says you can enforce other laws. Why? So certainly the stuff in the middle, we're just ensuring public health services. That doesn't even need to be a statute. But if somebody was going to keep this part of the statute, they'd have to clarify for those in government that don't know how to read, that a service is an optional thing that the people can determine for themselves if they want to utilize or not. So mandates are a no-go when it's a service. So to answer my husband's question, if I were writing that, or if I were looking for something to sign, I would love to see a petition that took a sentence to get rid of the 1976 law, just like they did with the 1945 law, to get rid of 333.2253, to get rid of 333.2453, get rid of them. They are not needed at all. It's as simple as that. I'm going to leave you with one thing that we talked about at the beginning of this video. When you're on any kind of property open to the general public, can you receive a lawfully issued trespass citation? Can you be arrested for trespassing? Well, the answer is no matter what state you're in, because the U.S. Supreme Court clarified that many years ago. You have rights. You don't have to prove that God gave you rights, but the government does have to prove that they were given authority, lawful and constitutional authority, if they want to do anything. The government does not have any rights of their own. unless the Constitution gives them that authority. So don't feel like you have to find the specific constitutional provision that allows you to breathe fresh air without a mask, or not have an injection of an experimental drug just to maintain your employment. You have those rights that are given to you by God and guaranteed to be protected by Article 1, Section 23 of our state constitution, and the 9th Amendment to our US Constitution. So, a couple of things. Number one, somebody's asking me to write a brief that talks about all this. So I guess with the purpose of hoping that Stand Up Michigan or Unlock Michigan is going to reword their petition. My guess is that they don't really care what my position is on it, no matter what I say. And I don't have the time to do that. I at least owe it to you guys to give you the information that I know is there. Just like at the beginning of their petition, the first go round, when they wanted to get rid of the 1945 law. And I was telling people way back last April, May, June, July, you name it, getting rid of the 1945 law is not going to solve our problem. And unfortunately, a few thousand people, too many, did not heed my warning until the Supreme Court declared that law unconstitutional on October 2nd. And then the governor started using the public health code, which I have been warning people was a problem. Again, these are not our only problems. There are many statutes that are a problem, which is why I wrote the Restore Freedom Constitutional Amendment petition. And wouldn't that be something if Stand Up Michigan, Unlock Michigan, whatever, I don't care who, if they wanted to use all their resources, because they've got a lot more. So if they could use those funds and those resources to be able to get something like even the Restore Freedom petition, if they wanted to take it and run with it and slap the Unlock Michigan or Stand Up Michigan name on it, that's fine with me. I would still be totally happy to argue in defense of that at any event or in any court, knowing what certain individuals in government power right now would do to fight it. But I would definitely take on that task, no matter whose name is on it. That would be my hope. But at the very least, I'm hoping that enough people can ask them to reword it or address it so that these statutes are really corrected. Because again, we're so much focused on the here and now, and like, I want it now. It has to be, this immediate society, right? Our devices have to go quicker. Our phones have to be quicker. We have to have on-demand TV. We have to have oil changes that are quicker. It doesn't matter. Everything's quick, right? And we're doing more with our day, which can be good, but it can be bad. And we want to make sure that we're not only addressing the problem that exists in the here and now, but what about the next pandemic? And I don't say that lightly. I mean, COVID exists. I've seen and I've talked to medical experts that have explained in precise medical detail that I don't fully understand about what those molecules and spores look like. I get it. It's real, but we're going to experience many other things like this going forward. And we already have, whether it's the bubonic plague or whether it's SARS or whether it's, HIV or, COVID or anything. The EEE was a big thing in Michigan a year and a half ago. No matter what it is, we need to make sure that these statutes and that 1976 Emergency Management Act cannot be used again to control the people here in Michigan. So that's my 2 cents.